Hello, everybody. Welcome to Mortal Content. I'm here. I'm Doug, and I am really excited to be here tonight with my friend Katie Bingham Smith. How are you tonight, Katie?
I'm great. Thank you. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. So, being that this is the month of that involves I'm going to say St. Patrick's Day. God, I'm a month ahead. It's Valentine's Day. I wanted to explore something that I don't have a lot of knowledge about, and that is romance books. And there's a lot of genres within the romance. There's a lot of different sub genres of romance. So why don't we start off with do you have anything to drink, or are you just kind of hanging out?
I'm hanging out with some water.
Water is great. Gotta hydrate, right?
Yes, that's right.
Hydrate is important. So I'm going with a little bit more of an adult beverage. So I'm going to do a little bit more of my Lefroy Glore Scotch, which is one of my favorites. So, but while I'm pouring that out, uh, let's talk a bit about, first of all, what what made you decide to start writing romance books, and how long have you been doing it?
I have been writing romance for probably 9 years, but I've only been published for about 2.5 years. So my first book took me 7 years to write. And I have been wanting to write romance since I read The Bridges of Madison County when I was
Wow.
in college. I remember being so captivated by that book. I think I read it in a day, and I was in college at the time, studying English with a minor in creative writing, and I was like, I've always been a big reader. Judy Blume, I've always loved stories about women. So that, I think, was the moment I decided one day I'm going to write a romance book. Didn't know how, I didn't know when, but many, many years later, I published my first romance novel.
Fantastic. Did you self-publish, or did you go through traditional?
I self-published. I
Mhm.
had talked to a couple other authors in my writer circle who said they thought self-publishing was the way to go. And so many amazing authors, especially romance authors,
Mhm.
started out as self-published authors. Like Colleen Hoover is one of them. She was self-published for a really long time. So I decided that that was the route that I would go.
Yeah, I've heard of Colleen Hoover. I think my wife has read a few of her books.
Mhm.
So I have not read hers myself, but I know actually a few romance writers, like know them, but haven't like read stuff. And it seems to me that romance writers can be pretty prolific. Like, can you, like, I know that you have quite a few books under your belt now, and you said you just got published, what, 2.5 years ago?
Yes.
So you have quite a library of books already. What is the pace at which you write? How do you make that, like, what do you determine is a good pace for you to write to be able to get books out?
Right now, for me, it's about a chapter a day, 7 days a week. I mean, I wake up in the morning, I work out, I write a chapter. 7 days a week. I usually get up early, so it's kind of like I can get it done before anybody else is awake, so not much gets in the way of my writing time. When I first published, I wrote a trilogy, so I had written the first two books of that trilogy before I published the first one. So I did what they call a rapid release. I wrote my first book, wrote the second book. The second book was being edited while I published the first one. And then I had a little bit of a head start.
Mm.
Um, and then and when I first published, I was much more like, I would write 3 or 4 chapters a day. Sometimes
Mhm.
they were 800 words, and sometimes the chapter would be 2,000 words. But now I've kind of slowed the pace down, a chapter a day, and I have really been, I have 21 books out, but over half of them are what they call novellas. They're short books. They're like between 15 and 25,000 words.
Yeah. So here's a bit of the book, all of your books here. So
Mhm.
you said you started off with a trilogy. What was the first one that you wrote? I believe I remember, because I think I remember you posting about it, but I'm not exactly sure.
Yes, yeah, it was Before She Knew.
So this guy.
Yes, that one. That was the first book I published, and then yeah, that was the one that took me 7 years to write. I just couldn't quite finish it. I didn't really know what I was doing. I sent it to my editor. And before she even got into the first chapter, she didn't get very far. She sent it back to me and she just said, "You're not ready. You're not
Oh.
ready." And that was a moment, rolling around on the floor, crying. I'm not going to do this. This is hard. Um, and she gave me some great tips, and I just looked at it as like a class. I hired her to make me a better writer, and she definitely did. So because I felt like I had so much more knowledge because of her, I was able to rewrite it and of course use a lot of my original material, but I kind of started over. And after I got myself together and rewrote it. And then after that, it was like just something clicked and I felt like I got the beats down and I just got more comfortable with it for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, I've been part of a couple of writing groups, and I remember the very first one I was in was like incredibly brutal, and I a little afraid to submit. The first time I submitted something to one of the people in the group was a published author, and he had his own imprint, and he looked at me and said, "So have you written before?"
Oh,
And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm never going to write again."
yes, I know.
You're not ready. Is it great to hear? Have you ever written before? Is a little bit. It feels like a little bit heavy of a hammer there, but that was rough. But yeah, so I just I admire that you are so steadfast in writing because I'm not that disciplined. I write and I used to write a lot for dad blogging stuff and I was fairly good at that. But like I shifted, I really wanted to write fiction. And I've written a bunch of things, haven't had anything published that, because I write like sci-fi and horror stuff and that's a really tough biz to get cracking in. So but I just admire the fact that you're like, this is my time. I'm going to go every day. I'm going to write a chapter, and you just dedicate the time, and you're disciplined with it. And unfortunately, I think that's what if you want to be a good writer, that's what you have to do. You be disciplined, and I am unfortunately not.
Yeah.
So where did you get? So is the discipline of? I know you're also someone who works out, pretty. I'm going to say religiously, probably not the right word, but does your discipline come from that? Like, where did you get the discipline to be able to say, I'm going to do this and this is when I'm going to do it?
Probably. I mean, I've always been like a routine based person and I'm a freelance writer too. So I write for different websites and magazines. So I had to, and I've been doing that for about 10 years. So when I first started doing that, I had to really be disciplined. Working from home, it's so easy to get distracted. And I just had to really, zone in. And then, when I started writing the book, what I would do was after my freelance work was done, that's when I would sit down to write. And it was later in the day and it was after working all day. And I just thought I will do a much better job if I write my fiction first thing in the morning. That's when I'm at my best. And if I don't do it in the morning, then I just don't do it. And I always feel better when I do it. So it's like, just sit down, focus, get it done. You'll be happier. I've tried a couple different things. And for me, that just works the best.
Yeah, I'd like to be that kind of person. Unfortunately, most of my life I've been a night owl, and then as I've gotten a little older now, I'm much more not a night owl.
Yeah.
And so I also do the whole thing where it's like it's the end of the day, and I'm the one I cook most of the time because I love cooking. So by the time I'm done cooking, I'm just like I'm kind of wiped, and then that's not great for your mental acuity to put words together. So,
Mhm.
um, so the idea of you going, "Hey, this is when I'm at my best," I think that's pretty important. So, um, I do have a question here to pop up for you.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can read it there. Many of your books, like the Single Dad, the main series, feel rooted in your local environment. How much of the real Maine makes it into your fictional worlds?
I think the main part of it is very, I feel, accurate. I try to portray it how I see Maine, how it feels to me. I've lived here almost my entire life. I love it here. I think it's very magical, especially some of the small towns, and I want my readers to feel that.
Mhm.
Um, some of I'll change the names of some of the towns and some of the places. Um, I live by the ocean. I love that. It's it, it's I get this certain feeling when I watch. I call them, like, my books kind of like a Hallmark movie with spice. With the way I feel when I watch a Hallmark movie, the environment, it's just happy, it's peaceful. That's how I want
Mhm.
my readers to feel about the environment, even if what's going on in the book is a little bit chaotic, like the relationship or whatever. I
Yeah.
want them to feel like, oh my gosh, this place sounds amazing. I want to go there.
Yeah, I my family has vacation. Well, when I had all my kids, we vacation in Maine all the time, but we
Oh,
vacationed
okay.
all over the different places. But mostly we vacation, we wanted to be in the woods.
Hmm.
So we were more of the remote like things. If we could stay in a lake, that would be great because then there weren't as many people.
Exactly.
Um, so Maine is gorgeous. I love Maine. I completely understand why you think it's magical because my wife and I think it's magical too because we've been there a bunch of times.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because like this is a really great question because you write what you know and that whole concept. You have a familiar environment that you really love, and
Mhm.
this way you're sharing it that way. So I think that's pretty nifty, like
Yeah.
it that
Well,
way.
you just gave me an idea. You just gave me an
Oh,
idea for another book. It should be maybe a more remote setting, like a cabin in the woods somewhere where she's vacationing to get away from men. And there's, you know, she runs into somebody in the woods. That would be a great story.
well, that could be a really bad story too. I ran into somebody in the woods. maybe that's a little much, but no, I love that idea. So,
Yeah.
uh, uh, sorry, that just I had an idea and then that popped in my head and threw the other idea right out of it. So,
Yeah.
uh, the with Maine that it's funny because like I think it's good, but Maine has so many different environments too because there's the shoreline. That's a whole certain culture. There's the other like downstate, and then there's up in the upper regions, like really out in the remote stuff up by the Canadian border. My wife has traveled through Maine quite a bit because she inspects organic farms, so she has to be in
Oh,
Maine quite a
I
bit. So she's been to some really remote parts of Maine.
yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I just think it's gorgeous there. So great place for a setting, much better than here in upstate New York. But uh, so another thing that what strikes me about romance writers is the idea that they, by nature, you're kind of have to be prolific. Like it's a pretty fast moving genre, right? So
Mhm.
Uh, and we talked a bit about your routine, and I think that really suits that well, obviously, because you've done really well for yourself. Uh, what would you classify your books like the genre that you would like the subgenre of romance that you would classify it as? Do you have that or?
Kind of. I mean, I call it I call it sweet with heat. So when people say sweet romance, normally that indicates closed door scenes.
Mhm.
That's what the sweet romance is. But sweet with heat is like, it's not dark. There's no not a lot of mystery. There's not a lot of, it's a sweet love story, but it's still spicy. It's not, dark. There's a lot of dark romance is a huge a huge genre.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I would call mine, Sweet with Heat. And I refer to it a lot as Hallmarky, Hallmarky type.
Like, yeah, that sort of thing. But
Yeah,
maybe sometime one of your books could be in the Hallmark Channel. How cool would that be?
that would be so cool. That
Yeah.
would be that would be so cool.
Yeah. So I think too, if I want to, and I want to say this, I'm maybe getting it wrong. It seemed like your books are geared more towards women who are more in your age bracket and dating men who are hot and young. Which
Yeah.
that's what I got out of. Is that what you were going for?
Well, some of the men that they date are hot and young, but some of them are their age or a little bit older. It was really, I think I have one book. I have one book where the woman is 25, but in all my other books, I believe she's at least 35 and older. It was really
Mhm.
important to me I mean, reading about 20-year-olds falling in love for the first time is great, but I wanted to write about women who are, they've had kids, they've been divorced, they're maybe don't fall in love until they're in their late 30s or find the one until they're 40. I just
Mhm.
wanted that age group represented. It was just important to me to write something a little bit different and write about women who have experienced life. And um, it's funny because women want, I mean, especially women my age, I'm in my 50s, women want to read about women closer to their age more and more.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's interesting just from the perspective of like seeing like it is a sort of underrepresented group of people that are written about, like in general. Like you don't see a lot of books written about women. It's always some young male or female who's the main protagonist, and it 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 makes for uh, good content for folks who are of a certain age. But like I'm in my 50s too. Like I want to read stuff about people who are my age as well. Like the thing is people our age were kind of looked at like, well, you're 50. Yeah. Yeah, but we still want romance. We still want sex. We still want all the things that you want when you're 20. There's
Yeah.
just a different boundary because we've had life experience and things happen and change. You have
Yeah.
kids and the kids grow. And then, there's just a million things that go on. And I'm glad to see that you're writing stuff that is speaking to a market of folks who don't get to read about that often.
Yeah. And also at this age, I think um, the stories get better. We know what we want more. We aren't afraid to ask for it. There's more confidence, and like I know this is who I am, and I'm not going to change at this point. Like I think that you know people our age, we've just lived more life. We have really cool stories to tell, and I don't know. I think it's my favorite to write about a couple in their 40s who have been through a divorce or lost a spouse or whatever, and then they find each other. I think that's just great.
Yeah, you're speaking to my life, by the way. So
Oh, really?
I met my wife. She's my second wife, and I met her when I was 38. I
Oh,
had been divorced. I had two kids. She had two kids, and as people who know me know that I gush about her, and it's not an affectation. That woman just gives me life, and I just love it.
I I love
So,
that.
but that's mine. But that's a love story that I'm very fortunate to live. But
Yeah.
but seeing it in other ways is important too. So
Mhm.
yeah, I
Yes.
do. As Greg says, yes, I do. And he's been with me with her, and he knows it's not an act, which is
Yeah. He gotcha. That's awesome.
so. Here's another question for you.
Yeah.
This is a really interesting one. Romance is the highest selling genre, but often the most ridiculed. Have you ever felt the need to defend your career to people who think it's just fluff?
No. No. I think that was something I decided before I published, and I think being a freelance writer for so long before I published my first book really helped me just get thick skin.
Hmm.
You know, that a lot of criticism about, you know, I've had people say your books have too much steam, and I've heard them say they didn't have enough. Um, you're not going to make everybody happy, and I am more than happy to. The world can be so heavy. I am very happy to write the fluff and take people's mind off things. I mean, and that is what I love to do. I mean, when I read a book, I'm like, it is such a great escape, and I look so forward to it, and that's what I want to give other people. So if somebody thinks that's fluff, I mean, that's fine with me.
Yeah, I mean, it's popular for a reason, right?
Exactly. I
Like it's
mean,
not. Go
yeah.
ahead.
No, some romance readers will read a book a day.
Hmm.
They'll read a book a day and then they want more, and then it's like, soap operas are so popular. They want the story to continue. They want to know about this character and that character, and it's just this whole world.
Yeah, I mean, to that end, there's also like WWE is a soap opera, and people love that stuff, right?
Yes.
And it's a
Yeah.
soap opera. It's like all these recurring storylines, and everybody wants to
Mhm.
follow it. The thing is, like, people want characters that they care about, and then want to see what happens with those characters.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, for that bit, like, I don't feel you should need to defend it at all, and I'm glad you don't. And I think you saying about how writing you're doing like your freelance stuff for so long, man, you write and you put stuff out on the out in the internet. That's you're going to get an influx of stuff that just who are these people? What do you have? Like, just, I can imagine. I'm going to tell you one story of mine that I wrote, and I remember just being floored by. I wrote this story where my kids were really small, and I had two sons from my first marriage, and I have a stepson and a stepdaughter, which I never call them that because they're not that. I've been there since they were 6 and 8 and 4, so I'm part of their life. Anyway, I wrote a story saying, "Yeah, I kissed my sons. So what?" And it was because my sons and I at the time they were 6 and 4, and they would give me a kiss, and we'd kiss on the lips, and it was just because they were my kids. Like, and
Yeah.
the amount of anger I got from people like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, I'm not. I'm giving them a loving fatherly kiss. It is not more than that, and these people were making it more than that. And I just was
Mhm.
like, "Where's your brain at that you think that is where that goes?"
Right.
Yeah, and I
Right.
mean, so what is the thing that floored you the most about the comments that you've gotten on things that you've written for your freelance stuff? Can you think of any?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when I first started doing it 10 years ago, it was a whole new world to me.
Mhm.
I hadn't even really spent much time online. I had a Facebook and an Instagram and a blog, but like I didn't spend much time online. So I wasn't a scroller. I didn't so when my first piece was published, and I was called things, you're a terrible mother because I swore in my pieces. Um, I think that's probably the thing that stuck out the most. And then I just realized, like, I don't know who this person is, and then I just stopped reading the comments because they weren't beneficial, and I found the more that I read them, and then I would find myself writing, kind of trying to be like, oh well, this person says I swear too much, let me tone it down, or this person said this, and it was just like I wasn't even being my authentic self because I was trying so hard to censor myself, and I'm just a better writer when I don't pay attention to any of that. Um so I was, the first couple pieces I put out, reading the comments, like, wasn't good for me at all.
No.
I bothered me for a long time. I would think about it, and then I just, slowly got used to it and it stopped bothering me. And so when the books came out and people criticized, that's that's fine.
That's that's part of writing, though. I think like
It is.
you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and they're
No,
not going to be yours. Like it's life,
exactly. Yeah.
and it and you're writing. You're trying to bring some happiness and escapism, and
Mhm.
goodness knows we could use a lot more of that right now.
Yeah.
So you don't need me to tell you this, but you should keep doing what you're doing because that's making people happy,
Yeah.
and so
Thank you.
good on you for that.
Thank you.
So I do have one other question here, and it's also about your single dads and Maine thing. So here we go.
Okay.
Your single dads and Maine series is a hit. What is it about the capable but struggling father trope that resonates so deeply with readers?
I think women love it. Women love to read about a doting father, but they can also a man that can also, um, handle kind of a feisty woman. I think readers love that. So that's my idea. Kind of came from like I always have these single moms, um, and rarely would I have them be with a single dad. And I thought, let me do the single dad thing. That would be fun and kind of different. And I actually interviewed quite a few single dads before I started writing the series because
Oh, nice.
I'm a single mom myself and I didn't want to write it from my perspective because my thoughts and feelings as a single mom might be different than single dads. So I really wanted to get in their heads, and make it authentic as possible. So that was just a really fun project to do. Plus, everybody loves like a lobsterman or you know.
Yeah, there's a mystique to that for sure. Yes. So what was that when you were interviewing these single dads? Like, what was the most surprising thing that you heard out of that? Like, was there like a recurring thing that you're just like, wow, I would not have thought that? Is there anything that you got out of that kind of struck you that way?
There wasn't anything that I was super surprised by. I think that their experience was the same as a single mom,
Mhm.
except, you know, I found that the single dads almost have a harder time. Um, and I think it's just because I mean, I could be wrong, but I think it's because men just don't seem to have the same kind of support group that women have. They don't seem
Mhm.
to have um maybe a close male friend that they feel like they could really talk to. I'm feeling really down today. I'm really missing my kids. Some of them do, but I think a lot of them don't, or they're just not opening up to their male friends. So they're keeping it bottled in. They're dealing with it, you know, all on their own. I think divorce is for the men I talk to seem to be just as devastating, if not more devastating than it is for women. Um, so I kind of, I wrote that in the books, there's an anger there, there's a regret, there's guilt, there's all of that, but men deal with it differently than women do because we're different. So yeah, it was a fun project.
Yeah, there's been some studies done, and this is a little bit of a tangent off of that, if I may,
Mhm.
where like when men are widowed and women are widowed, like the women tend to do a lot better than the men do. And I now this is subjective, of course, but sometimes when people get divorced, like I think the men seem on the surface to be taking it okay, but I'm speaking from experience that there's a lot going on underneath.
Mm.
And I, at the time, had a handful of friends I could talk to about that stuff, but not in any great depth. Because I felt like there's also the thing of as a guy, like especially a guy my age, I never want to feel like I'm burdening somebody with my shit.
Yeah.
Like, I want to just be like, hey, I'm going to tell you this. If you don't have time for it, that's fine. And really, I needed someone to talk to. Now, I'm in a much better position these days because I have a lot of guy friends that, my show that I do on Fridays with Greg. Greg's one of my best friends, and I can talk to him about anything. But I'm fortunate that way. Not a lot of guys have that, and I could see why you could, like, when you were talking to these guys, just like their support system might not be as great as what a lot of women have, where they have a support system of women who band around and be like, "Fuck that guy," and let's, we're gonna help you out and all that stuff. And you might get a guy friend saying, "Well, fuck that lady," and then you're like, "Yeah," and then no follow up, just no support after the fact. Like, "Oh, thanks, that was very helpful. I really appreciate that."
If only it was that easy.
If only, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, yeah, that divorce for me was really rough. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that was more to do with the kids, though. So that's a whole different conversation.
Hmm.
But I am intrigued also to talk about a project you have coming up, because I find this particular thing really fascinating and interesting, because we're kind of just getting into it now, what we were just talking about. And you are doing something regarding empty nesters and divorced moms. So can you talk a bit about that, because I'm really really interested in it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I've been divorced for, I think it's been 9 years now, but which was definitely hard. But a year ago, I had 3 kids in 3 years, and a year ago, they all pretty much went on their own at the same time. So my nest was empty, and I just was not prepared for that. And I thought a lot this past year about, my life before I was part of a family of 5. The house was always full. I was a wife, I was a mother. And both of those roles are gone. And I really, really struggled. A lot of alone time, a lot of time in your head, a lot of um, a lot of time to think about all the things that I could have done differently. And it's like I realized, after I graduated high school, I knew I wanted to go to college. I knew I wanted to get married. I knew I wanted to be a mom and have a career. And I feel like this chapter in my life, like, yes, I have my work and I have my friends, and of course I still have my kids, but I didn't have like a plan. I didn't think that I was going to be a divorced woman. I didn't think about when the kids were going to leave. I didn't have a plan, and I really spiraled, not knowing what to do with the freedom, not knowing what to do with all the alone time, which, some women who are married and have kids are like, that sounds great. You can do whatever you want. You can, oh my gosh, please. But it's really, for me, I thought this really isn't fun. It's too much freedom. I'm not sure how to turn my brain off from being
Mhm.
wife, mom of 3 to like, okay, now you only have to worry about yourself, Katie. Like, it might sound weird, but it's just this huge identity shift. Um, I just felt lost, and I decided that if I was feeling this way, there has to be other women
I'm
feeling the
sure there are.
same way. Yeah. Um, so I thought, I'm just going to turn this kind of pain into power and start writing about it, even if I can help one woman or one person going through this. I will feel so much better. I got kind of sick of feeling sorry for myself.
Mm.
Um, and I started a TikTok page, and I just have been, I think I started it a month ago. I've just been blown away at the people who have commented. They're going through the same thing. They feel lost. This just feels like such a loss of self, of
Mm.
identity. So I really wanted to offer something. I talked to, I think, 5 mental health experts. I talked to, I think, 7 women who experienced divorce in the empty nest and talked about their situation, because sometimes it's just great to hear that you're not alone. Like, oh,
Mm.
somebody else is experiencing that. That's helpful to me, you know? And then I included, you know, some silver linings, some things that you can do to get through something like this. Some things that I found to be super helpful, like having a third place, somewhere to go that's not home, that's not work, that you can get a sense of community, just little things to help kind of start this next chapter in life, because I know I certainly needed help with it.
Mhm.
Um, so if I can help somebody else, that will make me very happy.
Yeah. So a thing that I'm going to ask, and you do not have to answer if you do not wish. And also, yes, a third space. Third spaces are super important, and a lot of them are taken away now. So it's a little
Yeah.
difficult to find those third space communal things. But when you're talking to women and they're in the range of 40 to 50, like what is how much does the perimenopause and menopause play into that? Because my wife is in menopause and she's in her 40s.
Hmm.
So like I understand like just the that's an upheaval of hormones and emotions and all that stuff. So how much does that play into it? Because I can't imagine that's helpful in the middle of all the stuff you're trying to consider.
Right, right. Well, it's funny because a lot of women have commented, and even some of the women I interviewed said, you know, you're a divorced woman and your kids are now gone, and then you throw menopause into that, and it's just like we don't have a chance. It's like just, you know, it's like what the hell? This is terrible. Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, for me, I felt, knock on wood, I have felt pretty much like myself. I
Mhm.
feel like I've so far that hasn't come into play for me yet. It could, but I know for a lot of women, just that in itself is a
Mhm.
struggle. Just it really is. And I think too, going through all of those things, it just feels so unnatural. Like you just feel it just feels so, I mean, that's the best way I can explain it. You don't feel like yourself. It's like everything that you've known or you're used to feeling is just kind of gone.
Mm. Yeah, for my wife, it presented itself in a lot of hot flashes.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
she just had hot flashes. Like so, we sleep in a king size bed. And we each have our own comforters
Oh,
because she would just get so hot she'd be throwing a comforter off, and that would throw it off me, and I'd be like, my teeth would be chattering right next to her. But like that was just our. And I said, well, let's sit because when we went to Iceland back in 2021, we went and and that's like the standard there. People have their own comforters on the bed just because you need your. And I was like, that's a cool idea. Why don't we do that? And that really worked. But she was fortunate enough to have that she could get a doctor to give her some hormone therapy to really help, and that's really
good,
helped. But
good.
like it's it that doesn't help everybody, and
Right.
it and medicine is not an exact science. It's a little
Mhm.
experiment. I'm on a bunch of meds because I had a heart attack 4 years ago. So like, and that was a little bit of a topsy turvy space to get figured out what was the right amounts were. So,
Yeah.
like I said, it's complicated.
Yeah.
And, and the thing is nobody, when I was a kid, nobody talked about menopause or nobody, like you heard it and it sounded like something some women when they were 70 had. And like,
Mhm.
no, that happens way early.
Yes.
So it's something that I feel like people should be more aware of, and I think like I know, for instance, my kids know that that's a thing that women go through and they're aware, but like when I was like, I don't think anybody really talked about that stuff, and
Yeah.
hopefully it's an avenue of conversation that you and the women you talk to about this.
Yes. Yeah. I and what you said about letting our kids in on it, it's so important.
Mhm.
It's so important. I was definitely like that with my sons about, how women have menstrual cycles. Like, I'm not going to raise two boys who have
That
no
don't
idea what's
understand.
going on. Yeah, they might be partners one day, and I want them to be compassionate and understand what's going on. And I mean, the same with menopause for sure. I definitely did. It sounds like your wife she's feeling good with are the hot
She's great
flashes.
now.
Okay, great. Because for a while I definitely had some hot flashes, night sweats, and I was
Mhm.
listening to the John Tesh radio show one night, and he read this study about how taking vitamin E, one capsule a day, will get rid of hot flashes. And I went to the store, I got my vitamin E, and like 2 weeks gone. I haven't had them since. I mean, that was
I'm glad that works for you, though.
yes, it totally worked for me. That is probably the only thing I've had to do.
But I'm going to say you're fortunate. You're not fortunate that you do that. I'm just saying you're fortunate that you found a rather simple solution.
Yes.
That's great
Yeah.
because it's not easy for a lot of folks. So
No,
yeah,
it's not.
yeah.
It's
Sorry,
not.
that was a bit of a tangent there, but it's something that I don't. I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of folks don't talk about that sort of thing, and
Mhm.
it's something that should be mentioned when
Yeah.
you're talking about folks, especially women who are in their 40s and 50s or even their 30s. Some women start
Yeah.
perimenopause in their 30s, and
Yeah.
there's no rhyme or reason to it. There's not a genetic marker. There's not anything that just says you're going to have this then. You just start having it.
Yes. You just start going through it, whether you like it or not.
Oh. Reason 8,242 why men have it easier.
Yes, right.
Like we just are like, well, I've lost my hair and I'm a little chubby, but otherwise it's okay. So where do you see this particular venture going? Like, I know you're going to be writing a book about it, I believe.
Yes, I've
What
started.
could you? Because I could see this sort of thing getting sort of bigger out of that. What
Mhm.
can if you could see bigger out of just the book? What do you think can become of that? Like, what do you hope for? I guess.
Well, so after the book is published, I really want to do something like a guided journal
Mm,
with journaling prompts because I mean, as a writer, I'm such a believer in journaling, downloading your thoughts. I think that would be really fun. I would also like to do a workbook of sorts because I think getting through stuff like this is work. So I think it would be fun to have a workbook. I think that would be really helpful. I also would like to possibly do a podcast, whether it's, just me or inviting guests. I think something like that could be super helpful for people. I think that when I searched, how many books are out about going through being divorced and going through emptiness? I really couldn't find anything. I think there's a gap. I think that it's something that we need to address and help people with. I think it can be such a lonely time, like
mm,
just such a lonely time. Like I said before, it's just this thing to me that feels so unnatural.
mm.
Yeah.
It's funny because I'm very happily married, and my wife's the person I hang out with the most. But man, there are times when it's lonely for us too because we're used to having kids in the house all the time, and our daughter's at college, and my two sons mainly hang out at their mom's because that's where their whole friend group is.
Mhm.
And my oldest lives in Colorado, and we live in upstate New York.
Yeah.
So, like, sometimes it is lonely because you're just not used to having quiet in the house. Like,
Mhm.
the quiet is a weirdly disturbing thing at times.
It really is. It really is, and it seems to hit a lot of people at night
Mm,
and during the holidays and during the
yeah.
weekends. Yeah, when you used to be with your family. I think that's definitely like what you said, you know, for people who are divorced, they don't have, and whether they're single or not, like I have a friend who's dating somebody, but it's not her son's father, and she misses her son a lot. Her boyfriend doesn't really know her son. So like, yeah, she can talk to him about it. But
Yeah.
and then to be single and not have anybody to say like, "Oh my gosh, today was just I was really missing the kids," and you're just kind of going through it. I don't want to say alone because a lot of us aren't alone. We do have friends. We do still have our kids, but it's a different, you know, it is a loneliness for sure. I kind of fought that word for a long time, and I thought, well, I'm the only one who's in charge of me being lonely or not. I don't know. It's very lonely.
Give yourself some grace, Katie. Seriously, give yourself some grace. You don't have to be the strong person all the time.
Yes, that is
Take it
true.
for someone who's always thought of himself as that. And like I said, the heart attack thing really made me kind of reevaluate a lot of that shit because I was like, oh, well, maybe I should have asked for more help. Like, so yeah, just give yourself some grace. You deserve it. You're a human being. You're allowed to feel your feelings as we all are. So,
Thank you. I appreciate that.
so I do have a question about your kids though, because
Yeah.
not anything specific. It's about their communication style.
Yeah.
How do they communicate with you? Because here's the thing, like we have 4 kids and they all communicate completely differently. And sometimes it drives me nuts and sometimes it doesn't. So
Yeah.
how are your kids about communicating with you?
They're pretty good. I mean, we do a lot of joking around. We have a group text, we have a group Snapchat, we have group Instagram where we share stuff. And there's a lot of, we talk throughout the day, every day. There's a lot of joking around. But with all 3 of my kids, if they are struggling with something, they don't, it's very hard for all of them to talk about it. Um,
Mm,
so that's where I kind of can be a little bit, I'm sure they think I'm extra and ask too many questions. But my
you're not.
youngest son is he's traveling right now. He's in Argentina. He's
Oh wow.
yeah, he's actually working on organic farms. So he's
Oh nice.
a wolfer. Yeah, a worldwide organic farmer. He's going to different farms. He was in Hawaii. Now he's in Argentina, so he'll work on the farm and they feed him and give him a place to stay. Um, his communication is, you know, I picked him up from school when he was a junior. I picked him up from school one day and he said, I have enough credits. I think I'm going to graduate this year and then I'm going to travel. I'm going to go to Hawaii. He had never said anything about it before. And that's just how he is. Yeah. I
Okay.
was like, is this a joke? That's just how he is. He doesn't really tell me the plan. He doesn't really tell me what's going on. 2 days before he bought his plane ticket, he said, I'm going to buy a plane ticket tomorrow and then I'm leaving. Um, and
Wow.
then and then my other 2 they're a little bit better, but yeah, they're they're all they're all different for sure.
Yeah, so it's funny because like I don't like delineating all my kids because I have 2 kids from a previous marriage. My wife has 2 kids, but they've all grown up together. They all get along, which is great because that doesn't happen very often.
No.
But like my stepson and my stepdaughter talk to my wife a lot. My kids, it's like I'm the one that's always got to reach out. I'm like, hey, what's going on? How are you guys?
Yeah.
And just like, but the thing is like, all my kids know if shit hits the fan, we've told them all the time. Here's the thing. Anytime you need anything, our house is open door. You come, you will be taken care of. You can talk to us about anything. We will not judge you for it. Just come and talk to us.
Yes.
And that has worked. It's funny. You don't think that pays off later in life, but it really does.
It does.
Some of our kids have really struggled with some different things and they felt safe to talk to us. My oldest son is trans and that was really difficult because his biological father was not okay with any of that. So I had to be like, hey, you're safe here. But
Yeah.
like just being able to give your kids this safe haven to know that if shit hits the fan, you can come to my house anytime and I will find a space. Like you will be able to stay here as long as you need. We'll take care of you if you need it. Like if you need something to talk. I don't think like, especially I don't know, like you're my age, so like I don't know if your parents were like this. My parents were not bad people. They were doing what they knew, and it was
Yeah.
just basically like, all right, toughen up. Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yeah.
don't know if it was like that for you. That's how it was for me. Like figure it out. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm 10. I don't know. I don't know how to figure anything out.
Right. Oh,
So
yeah. Yeah, I've definitely tried to do the same thing with my kids, and I think that they know that they can come to me with anything for sure. Yeah.
yeah, that's good. I'm
Yeah.
glad they have that because that matters. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have one more question here for you
Yeah.
before we kind of call it an evening with you. Uh, this
Mhm.
is this is something I is important to me as well. So I'm curious how you answer this. You've advocated for kids skipping traditional college route if it's not right for them. How do you balance being a supportive parent with the societal pressure to follow the quote unquote standard script?
Yeah. So for me, I always thought my kids would go to college just because I did and their dad did, and I
Mhm.
think he thought the same thing. And then when it was pretty evident that because my kids were so close together, they were all in high school at the same time, that they just hated school. Like they just hated school and couldn't wait to get out
Mm.
of there. They had no desire to look at colleges. They had no it was so important for me to let them be themselves. And I see my oldest son who is a plumber now and is making great money at 22 with no debt. And my daughter, she went to cosmetology school, so she's an esthetician, business owner, loves what she does. And then my son, who's traveling the world, like they, when I told them, the future's yours, I want you to do what you want, like they did. And they were all very sure about what they wanted to do. And so just seeing that is just made me so happy. I just wanted my kids to be happy. And I knew at the time going to college was not going to make them happy. Like, even if you know, even if we had paid for it, full ride, scholarship, whatever the case was, my kids, I just, they wouldn't have lasted. They did not like school. Not one of them.
Mm.
And like
You
for me, I knew I was very excited to go to college and I was like, led the charge in that. I was excited. I was researching. I had skin in the game. I was doing something about it. And
right.
they didn't and I just didn't want to be that parent that did all the things for them and then sent them on their way even though I knew that wasn't what they wanted to do.
Yeah. I think that's kind of interesting that they all took their own little paths, and that's great because I remember telling all of our kids, you do not have to do the following things. You do not have to get married. You do not have to kids. You do not have to own a house. You don't have to do all those things. You do what suits you and what works for you. And if any of those things fall in, that's great. Like
Yes.
do what you want. And so we have two kids, one who graduated with a master's, another one who wants to be a doctor. We have another kid who's studying to be an HVAC repairman, and another kid who's like really is playing semi-professional gaming. Like they're all
Oh,
doing their own thing and they're all doing really well at it. And it's just cool to watch them follow their paths and just
yes.
do their thing. And it's sort of a marvel because like you do the thing when they're really little and you're like, dude, I remember you asking me the dumbest questions ever, and now you're like out here doing all these things. Like my oldest bought a house with his husband, and I was like, holy shit! Like,
That's
wow,
amazing.
awesome! Like,
Yeah.
like you're
I think there's so much to be said for giving our kids the space to figure out who they are, what they want to be, what they want to do, instead of us, having this kind of pre-programmed. life for them.
Yeah, it is. It's just cool to be able to give them the space to kind of grow and be
Yeah,
themselves, and that matters. Like, it matters quite a bit. And if you stifle your kids, that's not going to endear them to you later in life. Like, it's really not.
exactly. I agree.
So, well, Katie, anything else you want to talk about here before we let you go on your merry way?
I don't think so.
So, again, folks, if you want to get some sweet with heat books,
Yes.
if we're gonna, yeah, so we're gonna do this here. So you can go here to Katie Bingham Smith over on Amazon. That's her author page. Buy all the books. You can see some of them are relatively cheap. You can get them on Kindle if you want them that way. Um, it is like just prolific, and I'm really an admirer of you for sticking to doing what you're doing, and just how great it's turned out for you.
Oh, thank you.
So yeah, so Katie, we're gonna let you kind of head off, but again, thank you so much for being here. Everybody, go buy Katie's books.
Thank you.
Yep, take care of yourself, Katie,
You
and we will talk to you soon.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yep, bye.
Bye.
All right. Well,
Well,
that was kind of fascinating, right?
yeah. She encompasses a lot there with the, from the parenting to the midlife to, the romance books, and yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm glad we got to go sort of a tour de force of all the things with her, and just talking about things that you and I would never have to consider, like just as men, and just like
For sure.
her point
Oh,
about being like a lot of guys who go through divorce don't have like a support system. I'm lucky, I do, but like not many guys do. I thought that was a great point.
and why is that, Doug? Do we want to go down that rabbit hole?
Well, just you and I are great friends. I could tell you any fucking thing, and I know I could, and you wouldn't judge me for it. Well, you might judge me for it if it's a sports take, but otherwise, you probably would.
No, but we won't go down that rabbit hole. But where we will go, Doug, is how did you get to, talk about a romance writer this month? What was the thought process on that?
Well, the thought process was part of this show is I want to explore things that I don't know well. Uh, and, I'm a person who likes to learn new things. I'm not always great about it because life gets in the way. Just today, you guys saw that my wife and I have been fucking kind of revamping our kitchen, and we've been sanding down and staining our cabinets, which has been a giant pain in the ass. But I let that kind of thing just pops in, to that's life, and then if stuff comes up with your kids or like, so I just wanted to explore something that I didn't know a lot about. I have friends who are actually romance writers, but I've never read any of their stuff. But she has written a bunch of stuff in 2.5 years, and I just thought that was ambitious and pretty awesome. And her other endeavor, where she wants to do a thing about divorced moms who are empty nesters. I don't know anything about that. We're mostly empty nesters, but I'm married, and Jill and I are good, but she's doing this on her own, and also in her 50s. So there's a whole menopause thing. So I just really thought that was an interesting avenue to explore as well. So it's Valentine's Day month, so why not explore romance?
Yeah, and I don't think we asked her, but where do you find? Do we find her on the Scary Mommy platform?
She is, but she is a contributor. So if you go to Scary Mommy, she's also written stuff for the kitchen, and like she's written stuff all over the place. Like she was a freelance writer for quite some time. So if you just look Katie Bingham Smith, you'll find all of her stuff. It's just she doesn't have it in one's repository. So.
Yeah, and it seems like she's really relatable in a bunch of different levels, if that makes sense.
For sure. And if you like seeing somebody who is in her 50s and just working out, and she's a beast working out. Like I didn't talk much about that because I didn't want it to come off that way, but like she works out crazy and just like she's so freaking fit and but she does it like you heard her. She's a creature of habit. So the habit is I get up, I work out, and then I write. And so it's like part of her life. And just it's intriguing because I go to the gym 5 or 6 times a week. It's not, I don't ever view it like she views it. I view it like I go there to maintain so I don't have another heart attack. She's going it to just be super fit.
So then she's relatable in that aspect too.
Yeah, for sure.
So she's got the fitness people, the romance people, the moms, the single dad angle.
Yeah, the single dad angle was awesome. Just her talking about, I'm going to talk to single dads. And then I was like, just Kirby, what was the weird thing you learned about that? And like just her pointing out like a lot of those guys don't have support systems. Like, yeah, that is very true. So it was a great interview. I was very happy because I really wasn't sure where it was going to go because I don't know a lot about romance. Katie and I have talked a handful of times, but I just thought it would be cool to have her on to talk about her stuff. So,
yes, sir. And before we get to what we want to talk about after this, Doug, maybe we should bring up what we're doing next or what you're doing next month real quick.
Yeah, sure. So next month, keeping in the theme of stuff that I don't know very well, Todd Allen and Tim Sampy of a Irish band called Kill Rush, which I've seen a few times. They just do Irish music, and like I love that stuff, but I'm not super familiar with it or know it all that well. But man, it is just a cool thing to explore. To talk about how they do all that. Todd, to be completely transparent, is a coworker of mine. So I met him. I actually helped get him hired to where I work, but like then he said, "Yeah, I also do music," and I was like, "What?" So and then Joel and I have seen his band on St. Patrick's Day, which is always funny because Joel and I don't generally drink on that day because everybody's hammered and we want to try to drive safe. And just seeing drunk people in front of them when they're performing is really fucking hilarious. So. We'll get to talk to them about Irish music next month, so that'll be fun.
And since this is mortal content, do you know a way that people can consume that before you talk to them?
Sure. If you go look up the band Kill Rush, there's actually a town named Kill Rush in Ireland. But if you look up the band Kill Rush, you can find their website. I'll see if I can pull it up now while I'm thinking about it. But yeah, they have Kill Rush band. KillRushMusic.com is their thing. So let me put that in a little banner. So
all right.
So Kill Rush Music is where you can find their stuff. So yeah. So looking forward to that. That'll be an interesting conversation because Todd's a funny guy. The lead singer is really interesting. But yeah, that'll be fun just to talk about Irish music and the experience of performing on St. Patrick's Day is going to be something I'll be talking to him about too.
Yeah, and the thing that everybody's talking about now, Doug, is
yeah, Bad Bunny.
What you got, Doug? Show. You wanted to talk about this. What's going on with you?
So, I think we're all aware that Bad Bunny performed at the halftime show of the Super Bowl, which ended very well because fuck the Patriots. Glad they lost. Anyway, but this whole performance was like just an expression of just pure joy and like a celebration of Hispanic culture. They had somebody get actually married on the stage during that. They included Lady Gaga, Ricky Martin, and like the storefronts they chose were like actual store, like they were actually stores that he knows of. They brought in like a guy who was he does like a food cart in LA, and he was there. Like he was just really trying to incorporate all of the beautiful things in Hispanic culture, especially on this side of the earth. Of course you go, well, I didn't understand him. Who gives a shit? That whole music was just a vibe. It was fantastic. It was also a lot of very, very pro LGBTQ things. Like I really just thought it was great, and I I think also this thing, the only thing more powerful than hate is love. What is fascinating is that angered folks on the right. He's saying, oh, like if you get offended by that, then maybe you need to really kind of calibrate what your problem is. But I just not just this, just not just the halftime show, like the videos that I've seen on like TikTok and even like I abandoned TikTok, well not TikTok, but on I've abandoned TikTok because of the new ownership. But IG and even on Shu, which is the Red Note app from China, like just the amount of joyful Hispanic celebrations when that thing came on, and just there was one video I saw in particular that just was just fabulous, and it was on Instagram, and it was this lady who was breastfeeding her kid while this is going on with the Super Bowl show, and she's just amongst a sea of Hispanic folks, and they're all just having the best party you could imagine. And nobody gave a shit that she was there breastfeeding because they shouldn't, but it was just her being like just grooving out and just, man, I love the expression of joy. And that is something that the Republicans and the right cannot take from it. They cannot take joy from us. And even though I am not Hispanic, man, that was a party, and I wish I could have been part of it. But cheers to that guy. Good.
Well, you were, and you were in your house.
Oh, I was grooving, and then a couple things happened, and Jill and I both were tearing up on certain parts of it. So
there you go. This is what I want to say about it. Actually,
yeah.
Thanks CNN for something for once. Anyway, we won't go there. Or maybe twice. Everything you said, Doug, everything you said, it was just, this is, redefine what it means to be an American patriot. But I think an American patriot is, Bad Bunny. I don't think it, I guess it needed to be redefined, I guess. But I don't know. I didn't, it was just a vibe. That's what everybody says, and that's what it was. It was this endearing. It was fun. It was everything you wanted a Super Bowl halftime to be. It was 13 minutes of just amazing. It was just great. There's really nothing else to say about it. I don't know. If you didn't watch it or you didn't want to watch it, whatever, that's on you. But the proof's in the pudding here. It's the most viewed ever, and y'all were yelling.
Look at the top four. Look at the top four. Look at the top four. The only person that's white is the fifth place person.
Yeah.
That's the thing is, and I want to ask you, since we're here, it's the most viewed halftime show. And I know in private chats you thought Kendrick's performance was better. And I'm just saying better in just for what it was. I'm not saying it was better, more just like it resonated more with you. You also posted a thing where it was like, here's the top 10 Super Bowl performances. What is your favorite yet? Well, look at that, man. You got it, man. God damn, you got that right on top. What was your favorite Super
I'm good,
Bowl
Doug.
halftime?
I'm good.
Yes, you are. Doug. Yes, you are, my friend. So what is your favorite Super Bowl halftime performance?
So I'm good with Prince at number 1.
Me too. I don't think that can be topped.
Yeah, and so no disrespect, but I don't remember U2. I don't remember what I was doing. I don't remember anything. So not to disrespect it, but it would not be on my top 10 because simply put, Doug, I don't remember it.
Yeah.
So I would drop U2 completely off, and I would slide Michael Jackson up there at number 2 and be pretty happy with the first 2 for sure.
Yeah.
And then I would probably, Coldplay is just such a strong no. I just can't with that. I just effing can't. Now look, they sprinkled in a Beyonce and a fucking Mark Ronson and shit. Like,
Hey
and
man,
those I
don't
love
shit
the.
on Mark Ronson. Don't shit on Mark
Hold on,
Ronson. That's my guy.
you didn't let me finish. You didn't let me finish. You did not let me finish. Mark Ronson is one of my favorite DJs, if not my favorite DJ of all time.
Yeah.
And that says a lot, actually. He's really great. He's actually my favorite DJ of the 2000s. How about that?
Fair.
And then Beyonce is a fucking queen. So like,
Yep.
and Bruno is, he's fine. So like, man,
No, is
I
he?
don't,
Is it? Did you
I
say
don't
it
really
like
have a.
he's
Hold on, I don't
fine?
really have
Or
a.
he's
Well,
fine.
he's fine. He's fine. But I don't have like a big gripe after U2 being number 2. Actually, I really don't. I love Kendrick, and that's just my personal bias. So that's what I think about the rest of the list.
Yeah, I'm looking at this list, and I think from a cultural perspective, I think Bad Bunny and Kendrick Lamar should be tied for third.
Mm.
I think both of them did something culturally in the past 2 years that I don't think you can dismiss. Great performances, both of them. Kendrick gave us the best fucking gif ever from a halftime show. The Hey Drake with the smile. That's never being topped in a halftime performance ever. That's just the best gif ever. But
it's iconic.
Yeah. But like I can't fault again. I'm with you. I don't remember U2 during this. I honestly am not like the only good thing out of the Katy Perry, Lenny Kravitz, Missy Elliott thing was Lenny Kravitz and Missy Elliott.
Mm-hmm.
Katy Perry.
I mean, that's good. That's good.
That's good. But Katy Perry was just me. Whatever.
I like that one though. I really did. I thought it was entertaining.
Yeah, part of it is Katy Perry has. I have real moral issues with that one.
Well, I do too, but I just take it as, you know what I mean. I take it as that, you know what I mean.
Also including
Left
Left Shark. Having Left Shark in there was just great.
Left Shark was part of the amazing part about that, right?
Yeah,
so like Katie was the worst part about that. I'm with you
for sure.
But she was all right though.
Yeah. So, I do think Dre, Snoop. We have our issues with Snoop, but him, 50 Cent, Mary J. Blige, Kendrick, and Eminem. That whole show, that is a killer lineup for rap.
Mm-hmm.
So
it should definitely be above Coldplay though, for sure.
Yeah. Now I will say Coldplay is good at stadium shows, so that's why they worked in that particular context.
But again, they got Mark Ronson and Beyonce to save him. Probably, I don't even remember them.
Yeah.
So then, Doug, while we're here, do you have like a worse Super Bowl? So while Doug is thinking, I'm gonna have
to think of that.
There's one that was really clearly stood out for me, and it is really clear. Actually, it was 5 Maroons, as I affectionately call them, Maroon 5, because first of all, put a shirt on, you look hungry, and you're too bony. Like, I'm not. Look, y'all know I'm not, against a nice looking man with his shirt off, but God damn it, dude! Like, and I understand why he has his fandom and all that, but I couldn't. No, so that's my worst one ever, and I don't even know what second is. But there was another bad one in there, Doug. I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. Sorry, I'm going through what they were.
Mm-hmm. Was there ever like a bad one though? Like completely.
I'm sure there are plenty of them, but like the problem is I'm thinking something that's modern that I remember.
Well, 5 Maroons, start there, because
5 Maroons is a good one.
I forget who they were with though.
In 1995, it was that can't be right. The theme was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom was the theme of.
Oh my God! This is when we didn't care about this shit. This is when we didn't care.
How about 1994? Clint Black, Tanya Tucker, Travis Tritt, and the Judds. Rockin' Country Sunday.
Oh hell nah! All right.
Also, how about
There's your
97? 97 was a Blues Brothers bash. That was not great. It was not great to watch. But it's weird because they had Dan Aykroyd, John Goodman, and Jim Belushi, ZZ Top, James Brown.
what?
Yeah,
James Brown played the Super Bowl?
yeah.
I gotta look that up on
And
YouTube now.
99, there was a celebration of soul, salsa, and swing, which was get this lineup. Gloria Estefan, all right. Stevie Wonder, yeah.
Damn.
Big Bad Voodoo Daddy. And then Savion Glover. Do you remember Savion Glover? He's a tap dance guy. Yeah.
Maybe we're gonna do that next year, Doug. Maybe it's gonna be like a themed. Maybe we can do like.
Oh my God! All right, here's a bad one. Are you ready? Aerosmith and NSYNC. Shania Twain and No Doubt. Okay, now here's I'm going to give you a very mixed bag. This is from 2004. Janet Jackson, great. P. Diddy.
Oh no. P. Diddy played the Super Bowl.
And then Nelly was right after him listed. So
fuck Nelly.
And then after Nelly, Kid Rock.
Wait, what?
Janet Jackson, P. Diddy, Nelly, Kid Rock, Justin Timberlake, and Jessica Simpson.
Wait, what year was this atrocious show?
That was 2004.
Are you Kid Rock?
Yeah. So, and then they had the next year was 2005, Paul McCartney. He's a legend.
Yeah.
And then 2006 was the Rolling Stones, legends. Prince, of course. All right, I'm gonna say this, and people might be giving me shit. I don't care. 2008 was Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. I fucking hate Tom Petty. I hate his music. I hate his voice. No thanks.
Man. Come on, man.
And 2010 was The Who? Really? 2010.
I don't remember that. All right, Doug. So I guess your most hated is the Country Acts, Tom Petty, and what else? There was another one in there. Oh, the Kid Rock one. I'm sure you hate.
Yeah, that's fucking. I can get bent.
All right, Doug. So before we get out of here, who do you want to see next year?
Next year, what in the Super Bowl halftime show?
Yeah, it's time to start talking about who it's going to be.
All right, who could piss off the most people?
Yeah, I think you heard what I said in one of our threads. So I'm a fan of Taylor Swift.
Yeah,
she'll trigger them all for sure. She's a known Trump hater, and he's gonna hate that. So remember, he even made a tweet, "I hate Taylor Swift." So yeah. she rises to the list actually for me for that only. I don't like her music at all. Or not. I wouldn't say at all. I know
Jesus, am I? No.
Yeah, that's after the things that he said about Jay-Z and Beyonce, I'm pretty sure that you could shoot that note right into the sun.
Yeah, you know who would be great? Who would be great? Billie Eilish.
Is it time for Billie though? She's really young and
yes.
Oh my
and
God!
Chris Brown. Jesus Christ! What are you trying to? Hey, let's give it the wife beaters on the stage.
Amani has inside information. He's trying to trigger us here for sure. Yeah. He is absolutely. I'm not taking the bait.
Yeah. No, I think Billie Eilish would infuriate a lot of them because her and her brother Phineas are like, fuck all that stuff.
Yeah. Phineas said that the people that are criticizing my sister are literally in the Epstein files, and he's not lying actually.
Lying.
They can't come after him for defamation because they are there. So I think Billie's a little. I think in a couple years, but she will be perfect. As I said elsewhere, the Foo Fighters will be a safe pick. And they're definitely not, you know, favorites of the regime. I think it's going to be like, I think it's still, we're in the still troll area, Doug. I think they're going to be picking people that, the NFL wants to really show that they're diverse, Doug, even though we know it's performative for the
Even
most.
though, but yeah, even though
Um,
multiple stadiums celebrated Charlie Kirk's death, but yeah, let's do that.
Right, but they're performative in this way. Listen, remember they were performative with the American flag for how many years and all that. So
Oh
like it's
yes,
all
yeah.
about a performance. So how do they put on a performance like like Bad Bunny, and how do they follow up Bad Bunny and Kendrick, who were highly criticized by a part of this country, and clearly the rest of the world supported the choice because Bad Bunny was a play for the rest of the world too, and clearly they came through
Yeah, and they
with
want to
their
make
guy.
money and internationally, so that was a great play for them. That was smart.
Absolutely. So where are we at? Again, I'm generally with Taylor Swift or who?
I, I'm saying,
Who's this?
can you
Who's
imagine?
this?
Can you imagine? R. Kelly. That's be a satellite. R. Kelly from prison.
I'm not. Listen, Amani is banned from any more of his comments being shown on this broadcast.
Hey, can I point out that in 2020, Shakira and Jennifer Lopez were the headliners. Guess who was a special guest on that particular one?
I don't remember that one, but I remember them too.
Bad Bunny was in that one.
Look at that. So this is Bad Bunny's second appearance. He deserves 2 appearances.
Oh, I want to ask a question. What did you think of the Weeknd's halftime show?
I don't like The Weeknd very much, but
I
I
know
enjoyed his show. And yeah, I don't know. It was all right. It's in the middle of the pack for me. It's certainly not even close to one of the worst, but it's not for me in the top 10.
Yeah, it's not top 10. I just think from the perspective of how Bad Bunny was filmed, that whole thing, I think the Weeknd's was filmed similarly. Like it felt like a music video. You know what I mean? Like that sort of vibe was there from just the way it was filmed. Not in the songs. Now I don't have as many issues with the Weeknd as you do. I think he's fine. I think he makes some good songs. I don't think he's great. So whatever.
The whining is just, I can't do the whining. Oh my God, dude, stop fucking whining. So that being said, real quick though, before we move on, we gotta keep in mind the Weeknd was the COVID halftime show, so he did well. They did very well given the restrictions of COVID and all that. But
it was.
You go. Yeah, he was restricted by COVID artistically, so I don't think people need to remember that in history.
Yeah. Do you remember, and this isn't Super Bowl related, when they were doing the verses all the time and they'd have the online battles? And you remember Babyface was versus Teddy Riley, and Babyface was in the studio by himself, and Teddy Riley was having all these technical issues, but he had like 20 people there. And Babyface was like, hey man, what about social distancing? Now Babyface had a really bad bout of COVID, and I just remember this dumb, I don't know why that sticks out. Hey man, what about social distancing? That just dude, that was such a weird time. That was such a weird time.
Yeah, and we spent most of it together.
Yeah.
And we're gonna end our time together now, right, Doug?
Yeah, for sure. So again, folks, next month it'll be March 10th. We'll have the band Kill Rush, the members of the band Kill Rush on. So please tune in for that. That'll be fun. Again, thanks again to Katie Bingham Smith for educating us on some romance novels and all that stuff. So yeah, this was great. So we'll see you next month.
See y'all later.
Cheers.